At 6 feet tall and just 170 pounds, Allen Iverson became the shortest and lightest MVP in NBA history. But Iverson was more than awards. More than an MVP, 11 All-Star selections, or 4 scoring titles. AI was a cultural icon. He changed how athletes dressed, how they talked, and how the point guard position was played. He was your favorite player's favorite player. And even though he was famously late and hated practice, we're talking about practice in 2001, Iverson delivered one of the most magical finals runs the NBA has ever seen. In this video, we're diving into Iverson's prime, how desperate the Sixers were before he arrived, and how AI reached basketball immortality while leading one of the worst defensive teams ever assembled. And it all started when Allen Iverson was still in high school. After the 1992 season and Charles Barkley's trade to Phoenix, the Philadelphia 76ers completely collapsed, becoming one of the worst teams in the league. But after winning just 18 games in 1996, hope finally arrived. The Sixers won the draft lottery and secured the #1 pick. The 1996 draft is considered the greatest class of all time, producing 10 All-Stars and 5 Hall of Famers. But Philadelphia's decision was easy. Despite concerns about his size and his reputation, they selected Allen Iverson, the smallest and lightest player ever taken first overall. And from the moment he stepped onto an NBA floor, the doubts disappeared. Even as a 155-pound rookie, Iverson was the fastest player the league had ever seen. Nobody could stay in front of him. He changed directions like the ball was on a string, exploded past defenders, and burned anyone, anytime. And despite his small frame, Iverson was fearless. Long arms, wiry strength, and an edge you couldn't teach. You could knock him down, but he'd get right back up and come at you again at full speed. That was Allen Iverson from his NBA debut. Allen scored 30 points, the 6th highest scoring performance ever by an NBA rookie. Allen also shattered Wilt Chamberlain's rookie record of 3 straight games with at least 40 points, extending it to 5 straight games, including a 50-point explosion in Cleveland against the Cavaliers, who owned the second-best defense in the league that season. That performance made Iverson the second youngest player ever to reach the 50-point mark. But the most unforgettable moment of his rookie year came against his idol Michael Jordan. Iverson versus Jordan. The crowd buzzing. AI crosses him up. Iverson finished the night with 37 points on 15-4-23 shooting, completely outplaying Jordan, who scored 24 points on 9-4-24 from the field. In his rookie season, AI led the Sixers with 23.5 points per game, the 6th highest scoring average in the NBA. He also ranked 11th in assists at 7.5 per game, and despite shooting just 41% from the field, he knocked down 155 three-pointers, one of the highest totals in the league. Iverson was named Rookie of the Year, but the 76 were terrible. They remained stuck at the bottom of the standings, and with little improvement from the year before, head coach Johnny Davis was fired. His replacement was a coach who would soon become inseparable from Allen Iverson's story, Larry Brown. As a player, Brown was a 3-time ABA assists leader. As a coach, he was a disciplinarian who believed in structure, accountability, and being 20 minutes early to everything. And when he arrived in Philadelphia, there was Iverson, a high-usage scorer who hated passing, believed coaches couldn't teach him much, and was perpetually late. It was a match made in hell. The clashes started almost immediately. Brown would ask, "If you come down and jack up a bad shot and nobody else touches the ball, what have you really done? Those other 4 guys don't want to just run, play defense, and set screens forever. That gets old fast." Iverson, meanwhile, bristled at Brown's authoritarian approach. He didn't stay late after practice to work on his game. If there was a shoot-around, he showed up when it started and left as soon as it ended if he showed up at all. While his teammates were in the gym, Iverson might be stretched out on the bench, pretending to lift weights on the machine, or hiding in the bathroom eating junk food. And somehow, with more experience, it only got more complicated. Under Brown's influence, Iverson actually grew as a player. As a rookie, he led the NBA in turnovers at 4.4 per game, but in his sophomore season, he cut that number down to just 3.1. His shooting efficiency jumped from 41% to 46%, and his decision-making improved as well. Brown didn't want the Sixers to be a one-man act. "If I had a mismatch last year, I could just take it," Iverson said. "I can't do that as much this year. That gets a little frustrating." Even though Iverson scored less than the season before, the Sixers improved. They still missed the playoffs, but progress was clear. However, by 1999, AI could no longer be contained, not even by Larry Brown. Brown tried moving Iverson to shooting guard to get the ball out of his hands, hoping for more cutting, off-ball movement, and a smoother offense. Instead, Iverson started firing. He led the league in field goal attempts, averaged nearly as many turnovers as assists, and still had the ball in his hands most of the time. With an absurd usage rate, Iverson led the NBA in scoring at 26.8 points per game. And most importantly, behind a top-5 defense, the Sixers finally broke through, posting their first winning season in 8 years. In the playoffs, AI carried Philadelphia past Orlando in the first round, averaging 28 points, 6 assists, and 4 steals per game. But in the second round, they were quickly swept by the Pacers. The 1999-2000 season followed a similar path. Iverson took 25 shots per game, nearly a third of the Sixers' total attempts, averaged 28 points, second best in the league, and earned his first All-Star selection. Once again, Philadelphia won a first-round playoff series, and once again, Indiana ended their run in round 2. On the surface, Iverson's year looked like a success. He was a fan favorite and a full-blown cultural icon. Nearly half the league copied his cornrows, his tattoos, and his baggy clothes. But inside the locker room, things were falling apart. Iverson missed roughly half of the team's practices, and when he did show up, he was often late. Larry Brown, a coach who famously set his clocks 20 minutes fast to avoid ever being late, had finally had enough. Brown publicly criticized his star player. "I wonder what your relationship would be with any employee who doesn't choose to come to work," Brown said. He suspended Iverson for 1 game. Iverson exploded. "You say this team is a family when it's convenient," Iverson fired back. "But then you talk about me in the newspapers. If it's really family, you keep it in the family. You don't disrespect me like that." After the incident, Larry Brown went to ownership with an ultimatum. Either Iverson was traded or Brown would walk away from Philadelphia. Reports surfaced that coach Larry Brown and guard Allen Iverson were once again at odds, with Iverson even being benched for the final 20 minutes of a loss to Detroit. Iverson believed the organization would side with him. He was the superstar. He thought Brown would be the one shown the door. Then the offseason shock hit. The Sixers decided to trade Allen Iverson. He was openly shopped across the league. And in late July of 2000, a massive 4-team, 10-player deal involving the Pistons, Hornets, Lakers, and Sixers was agreed upon, one that would have sent Iverson and center Matt Geiger to Detroit. But at the very last moment, Matt Geiger refused to waive his trade kicker bonus, blowing up the finances of an already complicated deal, and the entire trade collapsed. But that near miss finally woke Allen Iverson up. He realized he wasn't above the team, that he had been acting like a prima donna, and that if he didn't clean up his act, the Sixers would move on from him the moment they could. "From that point on," Iverson said, "I promised myself I would never give anyone ammo to use against me. I looked back at the practices I missed. It was ridiculous. I missed so many. I was late so many times. I gave them the ammo." Before training camp even began, Iverson sat down with Larry Brown and apologized for his behavior. "I'm going to change. I'm ready to be a leader. I want to be a captain. I'm going to be on time. I want the kind of relationship Magic Johnson had with Pat Riley and Michael Jordan had with Phil Jackson." Brown was thrilled because that was exactly what he wanted too. When training camp opened, Iverson kept his word. He didn't miss a single practice, not one weight room session. When camp began, AI checked in at just 155 pounds, with a goal of reaching 170 by opening night. When the regular season tipped off, Iverson weighed 172 pounds and he was more dangerous than ever. The Sixers stormed out to 10 straight wins. And the change in Iverson's body language was impossible to miss. He passed out of double teams. He stayed engaged during timeouts. He hugged his coach after games. That new relationship between Brown and Iverson peaked at the All-Star game. Allen erupted in the fourth quarter, carrying the East to victory. With the Sixers holding the #1 seed, Larry Brown coached the game. And when Iverson was handed the All-Star Game MVP trophy, his first words were, "Where my coach at? Where my coach? Coach Brown, where he at?" Before the trade deadline, Philadelphia made a franchise-altering move, sending Tony Kukoc and Theo Ratliff to Atlanta for Dikembe Mutombo, who would go on to win Defensive Player of the Year. The Sixers locked up the top seed in the East, and for the first time since their 1983 title, it felt like they could actually go all the way. After eliminating Indiana in the first round, Iverson was named League MVP, averaging 31 points, 4.5 assists, and 2.5 steals per game. On top of the MVP and Mutombo's Defensive Player of the Year, the Sixers also had the 6th Man of the Year in Aaron McKie. But waiting in the second round was another problem: the high-flying superstar Vince Carter. Vince and AI were the most electrifying players in the NBA, and their matchup became one of the greatest duels the league has ever seen. In Game 1 in Philadelphia, both Iverson and Carter topped 35 points, but Toronto stole the win. In Game 2, AI answered with 54 to even the series. Carter fired right back with 50 of his own in Game 3. Philadelphia tied the series again in Game 4. And in Game 5, Iverson went nuclear: 52 points, 7 assists, and 4 steals, giving the Sixers a 3-2 series lead. But back in Toronto, Vince Carter went absolutely nuclear again, dropping 39 points to extend the series and force a Game 7. On the day of the deciding game, Carter had his graduation ceremony in North Carolina. He chose to attend, then boarded 2 separate flights and still made it to Philadelphia. He was exhausted, and it showed. Carter struggled badly, including a final second miss that sent the Sixers to the Eastern Conference Finals. Iverson had a terrible shooting night himself, but he still finished with a career-high 16 assists, doing everything possible to will Philadelphia to victory. In the conference finals, the Sixers faced another legend, Ray Allen, and the Milwaukee Bucks, alongside Sam Cassell and big dog Glenn Robinson. Early in the series, Milwaukee looked like the superior team, and after Game 2, it felt like the Sixers were in serious trouble. The series was tied, but disaster struck when Allen Iverson injured his hip and was ruled out for Game 3. Without their superstar, Philadelphia had no chance against the Bucks. But toughness defined Iverson. He fought through the pain and suited up for Game 4. Even though the injury led to an ugly shooting night, 10 for 32 from the field, the Sixers somehow pulled out a must-win victory. In Game 5, Iverson was even worse statistically, shooting just 5 for 27 and scoring only 15 points. But he added 9 rebounds and 8 assists, and Philadelphia scraped out an 89-88 win. Iverson's scoring finally returned in Game 6, as he poured in 46 points. But the Sixers lost, setting up yet another Game 7. And when it mattered most, Iverson delivered his best performance of the series: 44 points and 7 assists to push Philadelphia into the NBA Finals. After a decade of irrelevance and losing, the Sixers stood on the brink of basketball immortality, reaching their first finals in 18 years. But in the 2001 NBA Finals, they faced the worst possible opponent: the Los Angeles Lakers. Prime Shaq, prime Kobe, a team that hadn't lost a single game on its path to the finals. Until Game 1. From the opening tip, Allen Iverson played like a man possessed. In the first half alone, he torched Kobe Bryant and Derek Fisher for 30 points. At halftime, Phil Jackson made an adjustment, inserting Iverson's unlikely shadow Tyronn Lue. Lue barely played leading up to the finals, but he was the only Laker fast enough to stay with AI. And he did an incredible job holding Iverson to just 3 points late in regulation. Then came overtime. Iverson found his rhythm again, scoring 7 of Philadelphia's 13 overtime points. And then came the shot, one of the most iconic moments in NBA history. The crossover, the jumper, the step over. That bucket was Allen Iverson in a single sequence. The skill, the speed, the fearlessness. Iverson rarely talked trash. He barely even cursed on the court. If he said anything at all, it was usually a simple one-liner, closer to Tim Duncan than Kevin Garnett. He let his game speak for him. And in that Game 1 win, Allen Iverson reached basketball immortality. He finished with 48 points, 6 assists, and 5 steals, almost single-handedly defeating a Lakers team that had been undefeated in the playoffs. It was the 6th highest scoring performance in NBA Finals history. The Lakers would win the next 4 games and claim the championship. No team in the league could handle Shaquille O'Neal. But even in defeat, Iverson became a people's champion and NBA legend. That season, the 76ers averaged just 94.7 points per game. Allen Iverson accounted for 31.4 of them. None of his teammates averaged more than 12 points that year. In fact, none of them ever averaged more than 18 points per game at any point in their careers, and most never even hit 15. Outside of Iverson, the 2001 Sixers were the worst defensive team ever to reach the NBA Finals. And while it's easy to label Iverson a ball hog, the truth is he had to be. He was the lone scorer on a defense-first team, given the green light to create and shoot until the wheels nearly fell off. And they almost did. Iverson played through 9 different injuries during the 2001 season, a testament to his resilience and relentless will. Yes, Allen Iverson won only 1 playoff series after 2001. Yes, he wasn't efficient by today's standards. And yes, the 2001 season was pretty much the only year he fully bought in, showed up on time, and acted like a professional. But as Iverson said in that infamous press conference, maybe he didn't love practice. But when it was game time, this skinny little dude was willing to die on that court. And that's why Allen Iverson remains one of the most beloved players in NBA history. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.